Hi, my name is Lana. Welcome to my YouTube channel. And guess what? I'm coming with a midweek. What is with the weird phalanges? I'm coming with the midweek video. It is the Midyear Freakout Tag. I normally post once a week, but I'm posting twice a week this week and next week because I wanted to get the Midyear Freakout Tag up before it was too late into July, and I have a haul coming next week. I'm going to jump right in. So I didn't even introduce myself. I said, hi, I'm Alana, but clearly you can tell by the background, we're here because of books. Let's get going. All right, we're going to do the Midyear Freakout Tag, and I will add in, when I go back and edit this, I will add in photos of the books that I'm talking about, so you have a visual. I was not about to pull all these books out. Nope. Best book you've read so far in 2023. I'm going to do what I did last year for the Midyear Freakout Tag. I'm just naming my 5-star reads thus far of the year. I will not sit down and really think about what my 5-star reads are going to be until I've read everything that I plan to read for the year, because things can change. But I always base my top reads of the year off of the books I've given 5 stars. So my 5 stars thus far have been Dragonfly and Amber, which is the second installment of the Outlander series. Dragonfly and Amber, which is the second installment of the Outlander series. Game of Thrones, I gave a 5-star. Breasts and Eggs by Miyako Kawakami. My Brilliant Friend by Elena Ferrante. The Priory by Dorothy Whipple. And that would be my toilet, if you can hear that. Yes, anybody else's toilet just randomly make noises and you're like, okay. And Butcher's Crossing by John Williams. Now, The Priory and Dragonfly and Amber are rereads. When I go back and pick my top 3 reads of the year and then my top read from those 3, I do not include books I've already read. That seems like cheating. So they're books that I've read for the first time that are in the running. If that made sense. That was word salad. Best sequel you've read so far in 2023. Dragonfly and Amber, but it's a reread. I knew I was going to like it. I don't have many upcoming sequels or books where there's a series that I'm completing this year. Maybe only 3. So I did read Kudos, which is the 3rd installment and the last installment of the Outline trilogy by Rachel Cusk. Kudos was my least favorite of the 3. It wasn't bad. I liked it, but it was my least favorite of the 3. So Mirror in the Light, which is the 3rd and last installment of the Wolf Hall trilogy by Hilary Mantel. I'm reading that this fall. And then at the end of the year, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, Elodie Harper's 3rd installment of the Wolf Den trilogy is being released, but that's not even going to be released until November. In order to get my hands on it in the United States, I'm going to have to get it shipped from the UK, and it probably won't arrive until December. But not too many series that I'm following up on this year, and I thought that Kudos was just okay. I haven't read The Mirror in the Light yet, so I can't say how I feel about that book. New release you haven't read yet, but want to. So, I have it in a stack because I'm going to record my haul after this. I'm not even going to pull it out or my tower of books is going to topple over. Friendaholic by Elizabeth Day is a book I'm really eager to get to. I might not get to it this year, but it was released this year. And it's a non-fiction work, not available in the US. You will, if you want to get your hands on it, you're going to have to order it to get it shipped here from the UK, or maybe find somebody on eBay. eBay's book prices sometimes, when you want to get UK or European releases that aren't released in the United States, they're going to take advantage of you and charge you an arm and a leg. Go to Blackwell's. But Friendaholic, because it's basically just a collection of, I don't know if essays perhaps, but thoughts. I guess maybe essays is the best word, of just friendships in general. An ode to friendships, how friendships change as we get older, especially when you're looking at them from your 30s and your 40s. And that's currently a topic that I'm really, really interested in, because I'm in my 30s now, and how I view friendship has changed again. It's like a switch went off in my head and things have changed. And because of that, I'm looking at Dolly Alderton for the first time. I kind of bypassed her memoir and Dear Dolly and then Ghosts, her first novel, for a while. Because for me, I'm like, oh, they're so hyped up. But she falls in line with this kind of topic that Elizabeth Day is talking about. So Dolly Alderton Dear Dolly was released not too long ago. It might not have been this year. It might have been late 2022. But also she has another novel coming up again with this theme of friendship and relationships. So yes. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year, the third installment of the Wolf Den trilogy. I can't remember the name of it, again, off the top of my head, but I'm really excited. I was under the assumption or the impression that it was going to be released this summer, as the other two books were released in 2021 and in 2022 in the summer months. But this one is being released at the end of the year, so I won't be able to get to that book. What is happening? Until December, which is interesting because that series is taking place in ancient Rome, like 70 something BC. To me, I want to read about ancient Rome in the hot weather. It just seems fitting. But okay. Either way, I'm looking forward to reading that book and just seeing what Elodie Harper does to wrap up this story, because it is a dramatic series. It is just straight up drama in the best way possible. Biggest disappointment, Duck's Newburyport by Lucy Ellman. If you watched my 40-minute review of that book, you will know I couldn't even finish it. And I ranted for 40 minutes, but it is what it is. Duck's Newburyport. I didn't finish it. I gave it a 1 out of 5. And as soon as I finished doing my YouTube review for it, I gave it away. Well, I haven't given it away yet. It's in the giveaway box. Biggest surprise of the year. I have 3. 2 of them have reviews thus far on my channel. A Very Nice Girl by Imogen Crimp. Millennial fiction that I actually really liked. A lot of the same millennial fiction tropes. Younger girl in a relationship with cryptic relationship with older guy, and you've got these social and political dynamics, economic dynamics going on. But I really liked the way that Imogen Crimp wrote about it, and I liked how her main character had quite a bit of character development towards the end. And that book pleasantly surprised me, and I look forward to whatever she releases in the future, whether it's nonfiction or fiction. And this was her debut. Breast and Eggs by Miyako Kawakami. I had a feeling I would like the book. I just didn't think I was going to give it a 5, and I gave it a 5. And People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I know. I cannot wait to review that book. People I have found, or I have seen, based on reviews of People We Meet on Vacation, which is Emily Henry's second adult contemporary romance. People tend to like beach lovers more than People We Meet on Vacation, I feel like. And if you've watched my review on Beach Read that I read last year, it was my first contemporary romance that I've ever read, and I felt like it was overhyped, and I gave it, I think, a 3 out of 5, which is not bad, but it wasn't my favorite. People We Meet on Vacation did what I wanted Beach Read to do as far as character development, especially the way that the character was, the male romance interest was portrayed. And also Emily Henry in that book is playing a lot more with literary devices than she plays with in Beach Read. And I can see how she had progressed as a writer within those 2 books alone. So I really liked that book, and it was a fun read, and it was pretty funny, I thought. So People We Meet on Vacation. Surprises. I'm stuttering today. That was a surprised like for me. I almost knocked over that stack of books. Okay. Favorite new author, debut or new to you? Imogen Crimp. Surprise, surprise, Very Nice Girl. Miyako Kawakami. I will now read anything written by Miyako Kawakami that is published in English, and Elena Ferrante. I really liked My Brilliant Friend. I gave it a 5. I can't wait to read the rest of the Neapolitan Quartet and anything else, again, that has been translated by Elena Ferrante from Italian to English. Any of her works, rather, that have been translated from Italian to English. I will read the rest of her What's the word? My brain just blanked. The rest of her works. I was looking for a very academic work, and it's too hot for that. Newest fictional crush. I don't really have one. I said the same thing last year. I don't really have one. But if I have to answer the question, I will pick a character. I'm going to say Leon by the Flatshare, another romantic comedy / contemporary romance that I read, finished it in May, that I also really enjoyed. I finished it in June. I read it in June. And I was pleasantly surprised by it. Leon, my English is horrible today. Leon, I thought was a very interesting male character. He, did he have many flaws? Now that I'm thinking about it. Because the book does go back and forth between the perspectives of the main female character named Tiffy and Leon. So their chapters go back and forth from their own perspectives. And I don't know, I just kind of liked Leon. He was quiet. He likes comfort. And so when his world gets his schedule gets messed up, he's like, well, wait a minute, I can relate. So I don't know, I just found him relatable. Actually, his personality type is very similar to mine, which, side note, same with people we meet on vacation. Alex and people we meet on vacation. Personality type very similar to mine. The funny thing I have realized when I read contemporary romances is I relate more to the male characters, the male romantic interest, than the women. I feel like in a lot of these books, at least the ones that I've read, and I've only read 3, not like I'm out here reading a lot, the women are very bubbly and loud, and they like colors and weird funky clothing, and they're super quirky. Not saying that I'm not a little quirky, okay? But I'm not a shy person. I can get up in front of a group of 250 people and be as sparkly as I need to be because I need to get the job done. But I am not bubbly. People think I'm bubbly. I'm not. If you were to ask my closest friends in my family, people who have been around me my whole life, they know Alana's not bubbly. She's doing what she has to do to get the job done, but I'm not bubbly at all. So I can tend to be almost quite monotone, and at times, like, I do not wear my heart on my sleeve. I do not in everyday life. Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. If it makes sense, my personality type is an INTJ. Newest favorite characters. Yelena by American Ending. Again, when is that review going to go live? If it's not live yet, it'll be coming up this month. And I'll just save the synopsis of that book. It's a new release, released June 6th of this year. Yelena is the first of her old believer / Russian Orthodox family to be born in the United States. Her parents came over from Russia, and so she was born in the United States. And it's just, it's taking place in the early 1910s in an Appalachian mining town in Pennsylvania. And Yelena is a little spicy in the best way possible. She's great. She kind of reminded me of Francie in A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Book that made you cry, not applicable. Like I said, my personality type is an INTJ. I rarely tear up over a book. Not saying that it's never happened. It can, but no book has made me cry this year. Not saying that I haven't read really emotional books. Or books where I'm like, oh yeah, that was really endearing. There were no tears coming out of these eyes. I'm not a big crier. Books that made you happy. The Rosie Project was hysterical. Again, I highly related to that male character. He was too fun. He was so relatable to me. And again, people we meet on vacation. It was a good time. Most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. I listed a few that I think just have really pretty covers, and I'll put their pictures wherever they end up going. Pineapple Street. I purchased that book by the cover. I'm just saying. I purchased that book because I like the cover. And it's a New York City novel. I love a good New York City novel. We'll see if I like the book, but we'll see. But the cover is great. And even if I don't like the book, I'm keeping the book because I like the cover. Hello, Beautiful. Actually, it's right on the top here, so I won't disrupt my stack. Also, I mean, I just think that that's just a really good cover. So I got this shipped from the UK, so I get the paperback. In the United States, they release hardbacks first for the most part. Every now and then a book will be released in a paperback, but when it's first released, they do hardbacks here. Whereas in the UK, you can get both. Even you can at least at a minimum order both, and it drives me crazy. I hate hardbacks. Okay. A Fairly Honorable Defeat by Iris Murdoch, the Vintage Classics edition. You can see the sisters, the counterparts in the series here. That book was sold out everywhere except on Waterstones online. And so I got it. I paid too much money to get it from Waterstones, but I had this fear. I had FOMO. I thought I was going to, I had FOMO, fear of missing out. I thought I was just not going to get my hands on it. It was sold out everywhere. Couldn't get it on couldn't find it on eBay. Couldn't find it on Abe Books, thrift books, nowhere. So I got it from Waterstones because I want to make sure I have a complete collection, and I still need to get my hands on the last two. But those are readily available. For some reason, A Fairly Honorable Defeat was MIA. The Saint of Lost Things by Tish Delaney. Again, what drew me in was the cover of this book. And then when I looked into what Tish Delaney tends to write about and the time period in which she writes about, I was sold. She's an Irish author, and she's placing the time. What am I trying to say? Her books are taking place. There you go. Her books are taking place during the Troubles in Ireland. So the 1970s, which is a period in Irish history that I find to be incredibly fascinating. It's the same time period in which Milkman by Anna Burns is taking place. So I don't know when I'm going to get to that book, but I did go ahead and purchase it. I am going to be really interested to see how Tish Delaney kind of fits her narrative of the Troubles. Her narrative in the time period of the Troubles, and compare it to Anna Burns, even though I think they're doing two different things with their novels, but I'm just curious. And last but most certainly not least, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? I felt like in some ways when I looked at my list at the halfway point, I'm having delusions of grandeur. Because I have saved the biggest books to the end of the year, and these are some big books. I don't know what I was smoking. For the record, I have never smoked anything in my life because I like my lungs. But what was I on? Delusions of Grandeur. Listen to this. Lord of the Rings. I want to reread and finish the last two books of the Lord of the Rings trilogy this year. That would be The Two Towers and The Return of the King. Granted, they're not big books. You put the two of them together, they might be about 600 pages or less of my editions. But still. Assassin's Apprentice, by Robin Hobb, which I'm actually going to read in August, so I'm not too worried about that. And Game of Kings as well. I'm reading it in August. I'm just looking because it's stacked up over here. Reading that in August, not too worried about that. I am going to see if I can squeeze in The Idiot by Dostoevsky, but The Idiot is not a small book. It is, I think my edition is maybe 700 pages long, maybe 600 pages long, but it's definitely more than 550 pages. And it's Dostoevsky. You don't really fly through Dostoevsky, I don't think. So that I might be a little delusional there. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is right here again. Not thin. That one is 800 and something pages. Granted, it is contemporary fiction. I tend to read that a little bit faster than I can a classic. But I've heard that there are periods. It's fun. It's almost like people have described it as Charles Dickens writing a Victorian fantasy novel, which is the reason why I picked it up. We'll see. I will be reading that book, but when I'm looking at everything I would hope to read, The Mirror and the Light, I will read that, but it's also, I think, an almost 900-page book. Poldark, the first in the series. Where is it? You can't see. Can you see it? No, it's out of frame. But I've already read this book, but I love the Poldark series, and the first book in all 12 is my favorite. And I want to reread it because when I first read it, I did the audiobook, and I want to go back and read it and annotate it because there's some beautiful passages. That is a priority for me. The Goldfinch ? By Donna Tartt. Another 700-page book. So we'll see. I will say, if I'm not able to get through all of those books, the books that will be nixed off the list will be The Return of the King, because I've read it. I can roll it over. I'd rather read a new read at this point, second half of the year, than a reread. And if I'm going to reread, I'd rather reread Poldark. The Idiot will be nixed and rolled over to next year. I have already read Dostoevsky this year. And The Goldfinch will be rolled over. I will rather focus on Poldark as reread, The Mirror in the Light, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, The Two Towers, and Assassin's Apprentice and The Game of Kings. Those are my absolute priorities. And of course, I'm going to be filling in with so many other books around that, but those I kind of pick out as I get closer to each month. That's it. That's my mid-year freakout tag for 2023. Isn't it insane that this year is halfway over? Granted, I feel like I always prefer the second half of a year more than the first half, because it means that summer is almost over. We're about to head into fall and the Christmas season, which is my favorite time of the year. So for me, I'm chuffed. But it is absolute madness. I'm also that weirdo who actually, I don't know, I don't think it's weird. People think I'm insane when I say this. I already started planning out my Christmas gifts for people. I start that in July-ish, because I'd rather, purchase something as I see it than to let all of my money go right before Christmas starts. So I like to plan. I don't like to rush. So while everybody else is in their Christmas scramble, I'm done. Anyway, I'm rambling. That is it. What is the best book you've read this I'm really stuttering this time. What is the best book you've read thus far for 2023? And what book are you looking most forward to reading in the second half of the year? Please feel free to leave me a comment. If you would like to do this tag, please feel free to do it. I didn't get tagged by anybody because I'll do what I want. And I'm not going to tag anybody. It's the Midyear Freakout tag. Go have fun with it. Actually, that's not true. Somebody tagged me on Instagram, because this is also going around on Instagram. So I'm just going to do a video for it. I've already done a video for it. I'm doing a video for it. It's the heat. It's getting to me. So yeah. And any of the books that I've mentioned, have you already read them? I'm gonna sign off. I'm getting a little weird. If you would like to follow me on Instagram, please feel free to do so. That's where all of my bookish content goes live first. All my reviews go live first. Monthly reading wrap-ups and monthly TBRs and funny memes in the stories. So holla at your girl, and I will catch you in the next one.